Ethiopian Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on food relations. This is our first lesson together in our 6th unit. Over the next few lessons, we will learn about many interesting things, such as food chains, energy and biomass pyramids, minerals cycles, and plant and animal adaptation. We will also discuss the importance of planting and growing plants, and how we can go about doing this in our own communities. In today's lesson, we are going to explain food chains and food webs using diagrams. Let us begin by going over some terms that relate to this lesson. Each of these terms describes the eating habits of different species. Phototrophs are organisms that feed off light, such as plants. They are known as producers because of their role in making carbohydrates. While plants are doing this, they also absorb carbon dioxide and produce oxygen. This helps to balance the gases in the atmosphere and provides all living things with the oxygen needed to breathe. Herbivores are animals that eat only plants. This includes many animals, from tiny aphids to herds of giraffes, zebras, and elephants. Carnivores, in contrast, only feed on other animals. In this video, you can see a wild dog hunting an impala. Omnivores are animals whose diet includes both plants and animals. Humans fall into this category. Heterotrophs are organisms that rely on eating other organisms. This includes all animals as well as fungi. There are a small number of organisms called chemotrophs. These organisms get their energy from the breakdown of inorganic, sulfur-containing chemicals. Students, let's do an activity to help memorize the terms we have just learned. Please match each term to its correct definition.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello again, students. Please check your answers with those on the screen. If you answered them correctly, great job. Almost all living organisms rely on plants to live, especially animals. The ways in which living organisms are linked to each other can be described by food chains. Plants are at the bottom of the food chain. They convert light energy from the sun into stored chemical energy using photosynthesis. This is why plants are known as producers. Herbivores and omnivores eat the producers. By doing this, they acquire some of the energy from the plants. Herbivores, as well as omnivores, are classified as primary consumers. Carnivores eat herbivores and sometimes omnivores to gain energy. Carnivores are known as secondary consumers because they eat animals that eat plants. This naming continues along every chain. At the end of each chain are the decomposers. Although decomposers are not often shown in food chains, they are a very important aspect of them. Decomposers are bacteria and fungi that break down the remains of plants and animals and return minerals to soil. Let us think of an example. Many small plants grow in the water, and they are producers. Fish eat these plants. This makes them primary consumers. Then, a crocodile might come along and eat that fish. The crocodile is a secondary consumer because it eats primary consumers. Once that crocodile dies, it will be broken down by bacteria or decomposers. Students, let us do an activity. Describe a small food chain using the different organisms that we have just learned.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. There are many food chains that you might have thought of. If you described a producer absorbing energy from the sun, which was then eaten by a primary consumer, which was then eaten by a secondary consumer, which was then broken down by decomposers who returned the minerals from that animal back to the earth, then you have done well. Please discuss your food chain with your classmates at the end of this lesson. The levels of a food chain, including the producers, the primary and secondary consumers, and the decomposers, are known as trophic levels. Different food chains contain a different number of these levels. For example, some of the simplest food chains only contain 2 trophic levels. Bananas are eaten by humans. In food chains, the arrow means is eaten by. If humans decide to eat meat, then the food chain is made slightly more complex. Corn is eaten by chickens, and then chickens are eaten by humans. Since Africa has a wide variety of plants and animals, it contains an equally wide variety of interesting food chains. Some food chains can get quite long, such as this one. However, no matter how long a food chain gets, it is still a very simplified version of the situations that occur in the real world. Since there are a few organisms that eat only one type of plant or animal, many exist within a large number of food chains. It is possible to draw all of these interactions to make a much more complex food web. In today's lesson, we learned about food chains as well as food webs. Food webs are a more complex and realistic way to describe food relationships. This is all for our lesson today. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.